Filtering in DAX. What's it all about? Kind of what am I doing? Where's the best place to do it? It's something I need to do, but it doesn't make any sense to us, yeah? No. Alright lads and lasses, welcome along. Weekend work. Here we are looking at DAX, okay? In video 1 of this week, hopefully you've had a look and you've decided, oh, I understand what that was all about. You know, I need to make sure that my ETL process is bringing in lots of data, right? And then I can use my DAX side to actually limit the data that we've got. Makes perfect sense to me, like, I don't know what even this is up to, you know. Yeah? So how about we have a look and see what that actually looks like. All right, so here we are, yeah? With New York water tower data. You knew I was going to keep using this one, didn't you? You've watched video 1, talking about New York water towers. We're going to keep with this one, aren't we? So in video 1, we talked about, you know, the scenario where effectively the people who'd wanted it or wanted this stuff written were actually the Bronx, right? So just for the sake of argument, let's say it's the Bronx. So if we pull through the inspections, what we can also do then is we can pull through boroughs and we can see. So the Bronx isn't a huge amount of our inspections, 4,000 of them, right? So there's lots of ways we could do it, right? But if we were to turn around and say, wait, we're just interested in the Bronx, you know, this is something the Bronx have done. And I remember, this is a stupid example, right? But it's an important one to understand the concept behind. So we might turn around and say, I'm going to write a new measure. So I'm going to right click on my secondary measures. Let's create a new measure, okay? And this is what we're going to call business rules. Business rules inspections equals. So it'll be a calculate, because we've got to calculate something, okay? I'm going to count the rows of the inspections table, and the filter is going to be building borough. Okay, we're going to do that. So I can then bring that in and, oh, it's going to be 4K. Okay, now, if you remember, one of the things we've talked about is that DAX is ultimately portable. So we can reuse this. So we could go through and rewrite some of the measures that we wrote in, well, last week into here and see, we can just drop in the code for this one, can't we? Yeah, so let's do that. So we'll start with we're year to date. Okay, it's not a tricky one, is it? Secondary measure again, right click, new measure, inspections YTD equals total year to date, inspections, dates. Right? Simple. I can do that. Gotta whack that on there. 184. Job's a good one. What's your problem, like? Right? How do I do it for the Bronx? The eagle-eyed of you might already have solved this, right? Tell you what, let's zoom in on this a little bit more, make it easier. Bronx YTD. We can then put that on there. We can see the Bronx only had 12. The key thing here, right, is that we can carry on, we can go on, we can do this. And what you need to understand is it's this portable nature of DAX. So if you've got business rules to apply to say, this is in scope, this is out of scope, if you do those on a base measure, like a count rows, like a sum, like an average, whatever it is you're going to do as your base measures, and you'll find that there are lots of little base measures that you'll start off with, right? Then all of a sudden, applying those and reusing those is simple. And it becomes just second nature just to be able to say, right, for today's use case, it's the guys from the Bronx. They're only interested in themselves. Yeah. No judgment here, judgment-free zone. right? But it'll work. And because we've gone through the process of saying our ETL scripting will not remove anything, right? My model that I've then built from the ETL process by importing the data, I've thought, let's not remove anything as a matter of course, so that we can then do it in DAX really simply. And you saw it was, it's the case of, if we looked at inspections, click on that one. If we looked at the main inspections measure, it's just this part, count rows, okay? All we've done is put it in a calculate and added a filter to it, okay? And that makes a difference. One thing that I will say, right, because this is one of the things that I know, is in terms of as you become a Power BI developer, this is one of those little steps I look for, which is kind of a tick. They're doing well. They're making the mistakes. They're making the predictable mistakes that I expect, right? One that you will all make. I made it. Everyone I know who's gone through and learned DAX made it, right? Is you'll use filter to filter, because when you're looking up all the instructions on calculate, it says filter. So, well, I've got to write filter. I read. And unfortunately, there is something called filter. So if we try this, bad DAX. No, not for this, right? Bad DAX for this, bad DAX. There are times you need to use filter. This isn't one of them. But let's have a look, see, right? So bad DAX would be if we wrote a calculate, count rows, inspection, filter, buildings. Okay, bad DAX. Right? You're going to turn and say, well, it's the same numbers. Okay. If we put on the timings, hopefully this will show you why it's a bad idea. So if we go in and we look at view, performance analyzer, start recording. Tell you what, right? Let's get rid of this ugly thing. Let's get rid of my face so you can see what's behind here. All right. So here we can, right? Bad DAX took 200 milliseconds more than good DAX. So what do you reckon then? I hope you've seen that with Power BI and DAX, the sensible thing is to let DAX do that filtering, yeah? Limit your context, your row counts with DAX rather than doing it at your ETL point. Right? If you do it at the point of delivery, there is an overhead, and we've shown there is an overhead, but that overhead isn't so much that it becomes unworkable. If it is something like that, right, there are steps that we can do in the model phase that will help. Okay, so if you've got, say, 3 or 4 columns that are involved in your business rule, and that does become a heavy overhead, what you can do, especially if it's like a core one, so like you might have, going back, so I worked with a client who they wanted to have an exclusion for things at certain times from their core IT metrics. So if a project had just gone live, that project was allowed an ELS period, an early life support period, where tickets against it didn't count. So it wasn't included in the metrics. So those need to be able to be flagged up. So what we did was we built a rule set that allowed, in the event of a few things, these tickets would be flagged with a 1 instead of a 0, right, for ELS. And if it was in ELS, it was a 1, we could then report on ELS separately, and we could also exclude those from our core metric. So where ELS is 0 would be part of the core business rule. And then you can start to do things. So you might end up with 3 or 4 binary columns, as it were, 1s and 0s across through your model build cycle, that we're going to pull those through 110, 101, whatever it is, and then you decide, is it going to be this? And that's going to make it much simpler to do a filter. Obviously, a filter on text columns is more expensive than a filter on a tiny int column or a binary column. There's lots of ways, okay? There's no right way, there's no wrong way, but there's lots of ways. We did show you a bad way, which was if you use the filter function to filter a column, especially a text column, right? And I showed you that, you're adding a lot to that overhead because of doing that. So I hope it's all clear now. So don't forget, like and subscribe down below. Head on over to the website, geordieintelligence.co.uk. Register, become part of the community so you can actually put comments on, get more involved, sign up to the training programs that we're starting to put on. Right? And overall, I think, have a much better time of it. For now, though, take care, stay safe, ta-da.